Okay.
Like that one.
That's how we should have started this. So, okay.
So
What are you exactly?
what am I? Besides a human being, besides somebody who's living on this planet, I would say that I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm a strategist. And I say specifically a strategist because a strategist can be cut into many different cloths. And in this case, my strategist skill set falls into creation. And creation falls into content, which revolves around photography, videography, branding, marketing. And then it kind of takes a pivot to something else that I'm very interested in, which is fitness. So I also am a private fitness coach, and I manage a few cryptocurrency portfolios. So essentially what I'm trying to do is take all the skill sets that I've learned over the years. I went to college, as the both of us did together. And, over the years, I just took that and was like, all right, I'm going to bet on myself. And it wasn't easy at first. It definitely wasn't easy at first. I remember I stepped out. I was actually in the nonprofit world originally. And when I stepped out of that into this entrepreneurial world, it was tough to pick up clients, man. That was, it was doing a lot of free gigs and just trying to get my name out there. Then nobody didn't really know who I was. And I was trying to use resources that I accumulated over the years as well. And it didn't really take off until after COVID, I think once COVID kind of was settling down back in like 2021, once 2021 kind of rolled around, 2020 ended horribly for me, but 2021, I would say mid 2021, things really started to turn around for me, business wise. And so, that's kind of what I do. That's what I am. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked you instead of letting people know, because I was just going to say you were a photographer.
Yeah, definitely. The input was
Oh, thanks,
good,
man.
man.
Exactly. I didn't want you to say that because most people probably would. And I'm like, nah, that's not just what I do. Photography is the gateway into that realm, right? Once people know you can, if you could shoot video, then you better know how to shoot photos. Not saying you have to, but more than likely you probably started with photos, stills, and then moved to moving figures, which is video, and that's kind of like what happened with me in my transition. But I started really young, and it just never kind of left me, But I also had another love for working with kids and the youth and, our community, which I still kind of do now, just in a different way. I get to shoot events at schools, and, and that's really fun. And that, gets me to interact with kids again. So on that level,
Definitely.
You said you started with photography, right?
Well, yeah. It was kind of like both. It was photography and videography. The goal was videography from the gate because I love doing video. But photography, it just came natural. I had the camera. I could take some pretty good pictures. And it was funny because it all came about because I went to that wedding I was telling you. You remember you asked me, I'm not even going to bring that up on this, but you asked me a question earlier, and I was like, in fact, I do. And that wedding was the wedding I went to, and I shot, and I posted it on Facebook, and everyone was like, oh, these photos are great. They're amazing. I was like, for real? I was like, oh, shoot. Well, maybe I should think about, And so that kind of planted the idea into my head. And then like 3 months later, I ended up leaving my job. I was running a nonprofit in San Francisco. I was the executive director, so yeah. But and then I stepped out into that, and it was, kind of haven't looked back since. But like I said, it hasn't always been easy. That's for sure. And it takes help from like really knowing good resources, good partnerships with people that I've known from the past that really, it's a lot of word of mouth stuff. I don't do much advertising on my own, so
Right.
It's like other people would just throw my name out there. Chris, you know a lot about that,
Yeah, I do actually, because I don't. I hate reaching out to people for gigs. I let them come to me, and it's quite a blessing to have the numbers climb from just word of mouth.
Right.
Because you don't know what people are saying with your work, how they really feel. You're in the editing room all alone, using your own imagination to put stuff together.
Right.
When it's out in the world, that's a whole different. So it's always a pleasure to see when clients post pictures or videos and it's getting good feedback.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Or if they, oh yeah, and you, artist over here, yeah. Like, I mean, if people post your stuff, I know you're like, yeah, that's my work.
Man.
Like, kind of makes you feel proud, especially if they tag you.
Definitely, man. That's a blessing, bro. Yeah, because they're expanding,
Right.
my name. They're showing people like, look, this is what I got, man. I'm excited to show the world like this is a
Right.
dope piece of art.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
And they're proud of it.
Definitely.
And then that word of mouth, translates into more, eyes
Yep.
through social media and,
power.
and it just, that's the power of it,
Yep.
and it's like, okay. And then when you use it that way, it can be a powerful thing,
It's the domino effect.
It is a domino effect.
Yep.
That's why it helps to collaborate with folks, and just see, help expand those networks, man. It's all about networking at the end of the day.
And that's like the point of this, That's what that was my idea.
Yeah.
When I thought about this, I hit Chris up. I was like, man, this is an opportunity to create like opportunity for other people,
Right.
and not just them, us as well,
Right.
It could be a community that is about artists to show people this is what it's like to be an artist.
Right.
And I love that idea, man. So like I was making sure that it's gonna happen.
Right.
We invested the money into it like that day.
Right.
It was crazy. It was like
Yeah, same day.
it was like, bro, this had to be made.
Right.
It was a good investment, I think, and hopefully it goes on, man.
Right. Right.
We really want to keep this going, especially because want to communicate with people who have viewpoints that you don't.
Right.
They'll teach you something, learn every day. That's how I do with my clients, bro.
Right.
Every day I learn something new.
Absolutely. And you're with them for a minute, right?
Yeah, man. They get personal, man. Like they'll tell you, like, I've tattooed from all types of people, man.
Right.
Highly successful people. Some people, they're struggling, bro. And you talk to them and you get to know like what their lives are like. And
Right.
It's interesting, man.
Wow.
It gets deep, bro.
Right.
Definitely, man.
Kind of like a barber, but
Yeah.
on a deeper level because you're with them probably a little longer.
Yeah, way longer, man.
You know?
Barbers are quick, man.
What's the longest job you ever had to do?
Oh man, I'm in the shop sometimes 12 hours a day, bro, and sometimes.
Like one tattoo you worked on for 12 hours?
Oh yeah, that's my longest session going, like tattooing, But I was at the shop 2 hours before that, so it was a 14-hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
The tattoo wouldn't even be complete yet,
Yeah.
even still after that.
Really? Because yours,
I think was what my tattoo you did on me. It was like about 30 hours in total.
Yeah, took some time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's
it took
the
a minute.
sleeve,
The
right?
first one, yeah, the first one,
Oh, that's dope.
yeah,
That's freaking dope.
love it. I changed my whole wardrobe just so I could show it off more, especially the one on my shoulder.
Right.
Yes, sir, man. I'm proud of that one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, you did all it? Which did you do most
Did you
of
see
those
this one?
Which one?
I don't think I showed you this one.
No, I don't think I saw that one.
Seraphim, you know what that is?
Hell no.
So this is supposed to be the accurate biblical description of what an angel looks like.
Oh, I remember you told me you were going to get this. That's right.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
So-
well, it's a freaky looking thing.
yeah. Right? Can you imagine?
It is, man.
Angels flew out the sky like that. Shit.
Yeah, I'd be scared, man.
Yeah.
Bunch of eyes,
I'm running.
I'd be scared too.
but
Shit.
they're the highest rank angels, supposed to be closer to God.
Oh, for real?
That's the purest form, bro. Supposedly.
Oh, yeah? I mean, shit. I guess, yeah. I don't even try to scientifically, like, try to decipher what the heck they were talking about there. Like, what does that actually look like? Because these people mess around thinking Jesus was white,
Yeah.
So, I don't know how they
Well, if
got that
think
from this
that,
book,
I
but,
think they just painted him that. I think they
somehow.
know the
That's
truth.
true. That probably was the case, too, but.
Trying to fool everybody else.
Right. That's all good. But yeah, nah, I mean, I think it's a good idea though to at least create this type of space and just, like you said, talk about what it's like to be an artist, man. Because it ain't. I mean, I think, a lot of people will be like, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, and it's great. It's just like, but like the passion, right? So I think about passion, and I wasn't following my passion necessarily. Not that kids weren't my passion, because they were. I loved working with kids, but this other passion wasn't being fulfilled, and I was like, well, how can I do it and make sure I'm getting paid? And I got some savings coming in. So that's something else I think. I think a lot of times us as entrepreneurs, we hop in and we don't even start saving. We don't think about retirement. Because now if we don't have a job, you ain't linked to a 401k or a pension or some type of, like you got to set that up yourself. And if you're not doing that, then how do you ever expect to retire? Are you just going to keep working like we have to start thinking about that. So that's why I wanted to expand what I can do. I don't want to just do photo and video. I want to be able to strategize. Also, really the goal is to get into directing. I'm writing this scene, I'm writing this, I guess you can call it a YouTube series that I'm working on. And I've been working on it for a minute, but I feel like I'm finally starting to get some traction underneath my my fingertips. And when I get this thing shot, ultimately that's what I want. I want to go into the media world in that sense. I want to produce things, but I love being behind the camera as well. And I think that's my true passion. But I also love directing. And I think it's good for people like us artists to, be multitaskers, I guess, so to speak. But of course, be experts in our field. Like I would say, you're an expert tattoo artist. Chris is really moving up the ladder in terms. I don't know, how would you categorize yourself? You wouldn't call yourself a photographer, would you?
Nah, more so of an enigma.
What are you, Chris? An enigma. An enigma. Please elaborate there, sir.
Very fancy way of saying none of your business.
Oh.
Need service for what? Camera work? Okay. What? Video? All right, cool. I'll do that for you.
Right.
Other than that, yeah.
So that's what you stick to. Okay.
That's what I stick to for now until I have a better title or something.
Right.
As good as Artosophy.
Artosophy.
Best title ever.
Artosophy. Who came up with that name?
He did.
Okay.
This was
clearly that's why he could say it correctly.
This was Pablo's idea.
He said, "No, y'all, Artosophy."
We'll educate everybody.
Had me sounding like a fool at the beginning of this. I said Astros.
No, it's totally fine.
He said, "You were close." I said, "Was I?"
We're gonna do it to everybody, and we'll know who's been paying attention to our episodes or not because
they'll clearly listen to this.
They're gonna see that we're gonna call them out.
Right. Exactly. I hear that.
But now I know how to say it. So
right. Exactly. But yeah, man. So, CB, when you think back to your college days and what?
No.
Where you think I was going with that? Nah, like kind of like when we first met. It's funny. Now you were asking me before how did I meet Chris, and I was like, I'll save it for the podcast. So I transferred into Azusa Pacific University, which is in Southern California. I'm originally from New Jersey. I started at Coppin State University, Coppin, Baltimore, Maryland. Transferred to Eastern University in Pennsylvania, St. David's, and then I slid on over to Azusa. And when I was at Azusa, Chris was first of all, I didn't even know this cat, right? But I heard about him. Like everyone was talking about this dude named Chris, like, yo, this all-star running back, yada, yada, yada. Come to find out, I knew who he, I ended up meeting him because he was in a couple of my classes because I was a transfer student. I think he was a transfer student as well. And, then we got into a couple of classes. We got tight, and I was like, oh, this the dude Chris Brown everybody was talking about, But Chris the funny thing is he's still the same exact dude, the guy who loves video games. The difference is, he still loves weights too, and that's where we also connected. But now he's taking on this creative side, where he's really exploring this, which has been cool to see the development, Because, I remember one day I remember when he first started, it was on his cell phone, on his iPhone. And him and I he did a video for me. We went to the gym. I think it was around like New Year's or something. I was like walking into the New Year, and we were doing it together, but it was cool because I got to work with him while he put the video together. So I saw him at like early stage Chris.
Okay.
And then like 6 months later, this dude got a camera, he got all this shit, and he's like, yeah, I got this software, and I'm using this one. I don't edit on my phone no more. I'm like, okay, big dog, you moving up, huh?
That was after college.
He like,
right?
yeah. What'd you say?
That was after college.
Oh, yeah, way after college. Yeah, sorry. If I didn't mention that, this is way after college. And he's like, and I'm like, oh, snaps, this is like really coming together, And it just happened super quick. And now he's at a place where, look, he got this little podcast set up. He's engineering things with this soundboard over here, which is cool. Like, I feel like, and that's the dope thing about this type of world, like the media, the creator side. Once you get turned on to one piece of the creative gene, like I feel like other things in your brain start going off, and you're like, well, I want to learn how to do that too. Like, well, shoot, effect. How do you do that? Well, in order to do that, you got to learn how to do that. Okay, I'm going to dive into this program, or I want to learn more about this equipment, or, it's like, well, I want to do a podcast. Well, I got the video down. I don't know about the mics. I don't really fuck with audio like that. Well, I know audio, you know what I'm saying? Well, maybe I don't. Let me figure it out, and that's how it goes. And sure enough, he's figured it out, and I think that's kind of what it does. By the way, I love this Galaxy stuff. I don't know whose idea. Was that your idea?
It's his idea.
It set the mood.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool, man.
For sure. It's something I realized, never really thought about, is that when I did meet you in college, you was already creating.
Oh yeah.
But you was doing something extremely difficult. You was animating.
Oh shoot, you're right. I was making. Oh shit. Let me tell you.
You forgot about it?
No, it's so crazy you just mentioned that. I did forget about that for a second. So in college, man, when was this? This was like junior year. It's confusing because all my transferring, but kind of deep into, it was maybe like I was going to graduate the year after. And I made a cartoon show, like an animated cartoon show, and I created a series. It ended up being 10 episodes, which is fucking crazy. Which is crazy. Like, but I started out with just people I knew, and I plugged them in. And I just created these and I even had Chris on the show. So Chris was in episode 2. And then he actually stayed on throughout the whole series. Now that I think about it, you were on to the last episode. Now that I think about it,
were you killing people off?
Oh hell yeah! People were getting murked off. It was like it was. What's crazy? It was Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones. Like, cause episode 1, someone got shot. And everyone's like, "Yo, what the hell?" They're like, "Yo, you just murked this cat," and he didn't end up dying. It was my boy Pook. Shout out to Pook. He didn't end up dying though. But then the next episode, someone got introduced and got killed immediately. And they're like, well, thank you. And they were in the intro and everything. And so it was just funny as hell. But yeah, it was dope. So, but you're right. What was crazy though? See, this is real quick. Back in the day, I remember my dad brought home one of those big ass VHS cameras, right? That you hold on your shoulder and you walk around like this. And my dad but I ended up borrowing that camera, and I would take it with me everywhere. I'm talking, I went to play street football. I was filming that. I was going to work, working with kids. I was filming that. Like, I was doing everything with this camera. So this one day, sophomore year in high school, history class, my history teacher's like, what do you guys, we needed to do some project. So I was just like, yo, why don't I try to create a video? I was like, now this is before I didn't have access to computers and all this digital software programming, but what I did have access to was a VCR. Mm-hmm. So I learned how to edit using a camera and a VCR and using the TV as like the screen that was being viewed. So I played it from the camera and then recorded it on the VCR to create the tape. So I ended up creating, that was when I first started experimenting with editing without software and all that stuff. This was like old school shit, and I was like, it wasn't until I got to Coppin where I first started experimenting with, it was actually, what the heck is on the Mac? What is their
Final Cut.
Final Cut? It was Final Cut, and I was like, oh snaps, this is different.
You animated that through Final Cut?
No, this was a different. No,
Oh,
this was
okay,
Coppin.
okay.
Coppin. I was at Coppin, and there was this film I did for. I wish I could find this DVD. I swear it's somewhere at my crib, and if I can find it, oh man, this is going. I'm gonna post this on social media. I've been looking for this, But it was like these several skits that me and a couple of guys did when I was a freshman in college, and it was funny as hell. But I edited it using Final Cut, so that was the first time I experimented with that. Then went to my next college, and I just kept getting better with it. You know what I'm saying? I just kept experimenting with different programs, and now I use Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects, which are phenomenal. And I'll use other programs too. I use one on my phone called InShot. That's probably one of my favorite.
Okay.
To highly recommend for any editors. I know Chris got his own, but InShot is the truth. I like it, and it's worth the pay. Like I pay, I forget what the cost is. I think it's a yearly cost, but I pay that because it's totally worth it. And every month they're introducing new tools, which is awesome. So anyway, that was a long explanation of what that is. But yeah, man,
Get sponsored.
yeah, I know, right? Shit, I shouldn't have given that big ass shout out, or maybe I should tag them InShot. But yeah, man. So that's how that rolls, So, but yeah, man. It's been in the blood for a minute, man. Straight up.
For as long as I've known you.
Right. Straight up.
Man, let's talk about how Chris got into it.
Well, yeah.
So I used to just do it for fun as far as video creation because I wasn't interested in photography at all. So I would just take footage of myself working out, and then I had this idea. Me being antisocial, I always try to challenge myself into being social and meeting new people.
Right.
Because I've seen the benefits of that. But I would challenge myself by contacting people to be in the video with me, a workout video. Hey, on Instagram, let's work out together. I hit them up. I wouldn't even know the guy. So that'll be my first interaction with them through the DMs. And then I ask them they'll see the work I put on myself as far as the videos go. They would like it. We would work out together. And I've done it with so many people. People started telling me that I should start charging people for the videos that I create for them. So I played around with that a little bit as far as charging for videos with my iPhone. I thought that was a silly thing because everyone has an iPhone. But I did realize that I guess I did have a special talent with that iPhone as far as bringing the most out of it, optimizing it, and the quality that it can fully provide. As far as something as simple as wiping the lens on the phone is it takes you far. A lot of people don't do that.
Right.
They just pull it out of their pockets and
all greasy.
Yeah. So on top of that, they're filming their friends and they're not moving. They're just a human tripod, So
or angle sucks.
Yeah, it was,
are you
something
not
weird.
looking at the composition on this right now?
Composition.
Come on, man.
Now you're using words on it.
Come on.
So,
shit.
I did 6 free shoots, and then after that, it just took off. I started off just a couple bucks, more so like a donation thing. Just that alone felt good. I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting paid to do this? Really? And so maybe the first year and a half, I was just using the iPhone. And I never felt like I needed to upgrade to a professional camera because every year a new iPhone would come out and the camera would be better. So I filmed you, Greg, for a couple projects. Did you pay for those?
I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I paid you for the one that you did with me at the gym. That one I think I paid for.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Because I said it. I was like, I reached out yo, I'll pay you. I wasn't I'm not one of them dudes as a creator. I was like, you know what I mean? I know. That's why I said, yo, what's your fare? What are you charging?
I'm just
you were
curious.
charging $150 at the time. And then I remember asking, yeah. Then you went up. You ended up going up. Eventually you went up. You were like, yeah, my rates are higher now. But I wasn't asking for myself. I was just like, you were just telling me because I think you had just bought your camera and you boosted your rates. And I was like, yeah, you should be charging more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like you should be charging more. Sheesh.
No, it definitely went up once.
Especially videos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Yeah, I was using the iPhone until the pandemic happened, and during the pandemic, I ended up getting this gig with a company and started creating a kids show, little animating cartoon thing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's on my Instagram down there. It's actually me and my brother worked together throughout the pandemic to produce these kids shows, and the editing process. All I could remember is the editing process. It was an absolute nightmare because I didn't even have a MacBook at the time. I was using an iPad,
Mhm.
and all the animations I was putting in that thing, it would crash. It would crash every 5 minutes, and I would just reopen it. I would have to save the video or backtrack some of the editing I did,
Ah,
and I would save that chunk that I did, and then I would start on the second half, and then yeah. So the first episode we did was about 30 minutes, 30 minutes long. My brother, he's a movie director himself, and so he knows TV and how
Right.
it goes. Like
Right.
the episode of Family Guy is essentially 17 minutes long.
right.
In between is the commercials and stuff. He was trying to explain that to the company because they were asking for way too much, and they didn't care. So we ended up milking it a little bit. There's some parts in it that didn't really have to be there.
Yeah.
We are just trying to milk the time, that they were
Right.
trying to give us, make us do. So yeah, we ended up doing that, and then we made a lot of money right there. So that's when I upgraded my gear and stuff like that.
Right.
And so even though I was editing for 70 plus hours and forgetting to eat and stuff, it was worth it. It was worth that process. But COVID, as a creator, I feel like a lot of creators actually flourished during the pandemic
Right.
because as a creator, that's what we do is get creative
Right.
under pressure,
Yep.
So
Or it takes something horrible in our lives to jumpstart.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
Man, that is a sad truth.
Just saying, man. Some of us don't learn, Gregory. But yeah, man. So yeah, what about you, Pablo? What kind of started you on your path to creating?
Man, well, when I was young, I didn't really do much artistic things. I think I was just going through a really rough patch in my life when I was younger. It was just a sad time, and I didn't have much time to really like be a kid and be creative. I was actually born in Mexico. I came here when I was about like 7 years old. That's when my life completely changed, bro. It was crazy. Like, I had the chance to be more like a kid here, and just going to school, man, like meeting friends and stuff like that, like in elementary. I kind of got into like the troublemaking zone, I was a troublemaker for a while. My parents were like, man, like, you're getting into much trouble. I actually got expelled in sixth grade. Yeah. So the plan from there is like I couldn't go to the district I was supposed to go to.
Right.
They sent me off to Clovis, and my life changed again, man, for the better, I think, because I was in an environment where it was challenging. Nothing was easy. The standards there are very high, and you can't just walk around thinking like you're the shit because you're not, And it was challenging because I wasn't like the old school I was going to, I was the top dog. Man, I got introduced to kids who have been, challenged to do rigorous things throughout coming up, And I met this one friend, Marcus. Shout out to Marcus, man. He inspired me to get into sports and stuff like that. I started doing sports, but I found that I was actually pretty athletic, man. So I kind of enjoyed it. And from there, I was like, man, like my life is changing. I can do all these things. What should I try next? So I took an elective class, art, and it was my first art class. I didn't know I had this talent, man, but I remember my first project was a self-portrait. we had to draw a self-portrait.
Right.
And my teacher was like, he looks at my drawing and he was like, you need to be in a different art class, So he bumped me up to the more advanced one. And then from there, it just kind of came natural, bro. Like, I would draw,
Imagine the teacher's face like
what?
Like, why are you here again?
He's like, hold on, let me make a call. Y'all got to see this.
It wasn't that crazy, bro. But really, I think what happened is I found my calling, man.
Right.
At a young age, surprisingly, I think ever since 7th grade, man, I was like, I'm gonna be an artist. I want to go to school and be an artist. Like, I had the idea of being an architect even from a young age. I didn't actually go to college, but I still found my way, or rather art found me, bro, because, I lost it for a bit because I, rough patches through life, and for me, it sucks because I had them young, so I think that, the hardship that I went through inspired me even more or triggered something to like look for that comfort again, because art was my comfort, when I was younger. Like, when I started to draw, like, that's where I would escape, and that's where I would leave all the bad shit behind, So I think from there, I tried to go to college, but I only went for 2 semesters. The only class I passed was obviously my art class, the only class I would show up to. So after I dropped out, I just started working full time, and I was getting tattooed by this guy, and he was tattooing from his house. But I made sure this guy was a professional. The only reason I went to him, though, was because he was cheap. Rather than going to a shop and spending a lot of money. But, at the time, I got introduced to him through a friend, and obviously their work looked decent. Right. And I was like, well, this guy's pretty good. Let me give him a shot. So I got my first tattoo from him. I don't regret my first tattoo, but I wish I would have placed it elsewhere. Right. Because now, like, I have this, like, Japanese writing here. Right. It takes a huge amount of my bicep, I wish I would have got, like, some other art there now that I'm older. But, it means something to me, and at the time, I just wanted to get tattooed, bro, because I loved art, and tattooing was interesting to me. I found an interest in it. So from there, I fell in love with it, getting tattooed and just like tattooing. Every time I would go back, I would ask him, hey, bro, how do you do this? Hey, bro, what should I buy? I was just like, in a way, I was paying him too, though, for his knowledge. Right. Right. Because I wasn't just like trying to collect, but I was paying him by getting tattooed. That's how I found that, getting tattooed by really good people, you learn a lot. It is the best way to move up, and proceed to evolve your craft, because you're learning from people who have done it for so long. You get all that knowledge, and it's now yours, and it's crazy to think that, I have some clients who want to start tattooing, and they tell me and stuff, and I'm like that guy now, I'm like, I'll share with you, bro, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be curious about something, Right. Some people think that is the negative thing. They don't want to show too much because, they just want to gatekeep what they know. Right. Because they know knowledge is power. Right. Right. And for me, it's a bit different, man, because like I was always one to ask questions, and I was always the type of person that I want to know the answer, Right. So now I want to be that person, to share my knowledge. That's one of the reasons I even had this idea, like I want to share what I know with people, and I want to learn from people, man. I love learning. Right. I was telling my fiance the other day, I was like, in another universe, I'm probably a scientist. I'm just always interested in learning new things, right. Slightly getting into the video thing too. It's kind of required for my job, you know, to create good videos.
Right.
And man, when I met this guy, it clicked for sure, you know. When I met him, I had barely, like, I think I had just started tattooing, bro, you know, and it was just like here and there, like maybe I do one tattoo a month, maybe, you know. Sometimes it went like 2 months, you know.
Right.
But you know, word of mouth, and I tattooed a lot of my friends, man. Shout out to my boy Miguel, bro, man. That I love that dude,
Let
bro.
you tag him up, huh?
Yes, sir, man. That is my boy.
He said, "You got a craving? Go ahead, get your fix."
You know what's crazy, bro? You know what's crazy? I used to hit this fool up, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" He said, "I ain't doing nothing. You want to get a tattoo, bro?" It was just like that, you know, like that on the spot. You know, it was crazy, and
I mean, he trusted you. Shoot,
man, I appreciate that, man.
right?
You know, like he's one of the reasons I'm here and living my life the way I live. You know,
Right.
And I love it. You know,
Right.
and I wouldn't change it for anything. So, yeah, I really appreciate him. And
Shout out to Miguel.
shout out to Miguel.
Yeah,
Yeah, the gift of a canvas.
Definitely, man.
the gift of a canvas, right?
But
So, and I don't know if you know this, when they tattoo, your whatever surface they're tattooing, that's the canvas.
Right. I mean, it is right because
Essentially, yeah.
they got to, you know, and you had a free canvas right there that you
Yeah,
could
man.
work on. You know, but it's not like you did some shitty jobs. You put your all into
But
that.
not
Right?
many
definitely
people get that opportunity.
Right.
You know? So for someone to do that, yeah, that's something quite special. You know, I was thinking about what you were saying about getting expelled in school and all. You know, I was, my sole motivation of not getting expelled or quitting school was for football, because I loved football, and I just knew I was going to go pro ever since I was 9. That was my first love, my first everything. But if it wasn't for that, man, I would I would have probably been going through the same thing. And I feel like my theory with that is, as a creator, the more creative you are, the harder it is to be told how to learn. And as teachers are doing their teaching, you know, you go to one teaching the same subject and you go to another one, it's completely different style. And you get along with some people the way they teach, you know. So it's really a struggle for someone with a creative mind that's, you know, to stay so grounded with this is how you need to learn and this is whatever, you know. When I was in Azusa, there's only one biology teacher that I could go to. I don't know if they even had another one. It was a dude.
Mr.
I don't remember his name, but
Tall White guy?
I tried. No, he wasn't that tall. A little chubby. But I could not even, I couldn't understand anything he was saying. So I felt like I couldn't do biology. But I knew that just this way of teaching, it just wasn't clicking at all. No matter how hard I tried. I couldn't pass that biology class for the life of me. I want to blame the teacher. You know, some students, they can adapt. You know, they get straight A's and they can do it. I applaud them because I don't know how they do it. It's just my mind just shuts down with certain ways of teaching. So, you know, going back to just not being able to remain grounded and go on with the whole book sense thing. I feel like it's hard to keep us grounded when there's so many other things going on in our heads.
I mean, but isn't there a way that, you know, you can apply both, you know, like what you learned? Because, like, to me, so I think because I did go to school to be a teacher, and I would hope my students, my third grade students, shout out to my third grade all-stars. They were the best class a teacher could ever ask for, best group of students. And they're like sophomores right now in college, which is crazy. But I think, at least from my perspective, my goal was to give them a basis, but not necessarily tell them how I think they should think, but just an option on how they should approach life in a sense. Like, for instance, I taught my students about Google. I introduced them to Google and how to surf the internet and what the difference between a valid source and, like, versus some fiction stuff or some opinion versus fact. And, and they challenged me on things, and I always gave them that opportunity to do that. And I feel like a good teacher, like, that's why we kind of need teachers, because we can all go out and teach our own thing. Like, we can just, learn something, but it's how to learn sometimes, I think, is what is helpful. So, because I think about my math experience. My math experience, I've always been pretty damn bad at it. And I passed it in college, but I was not able, it wasn't enough for my specific major. So my teacher was like, I can't pass you through this. And I was like, well, crap. I was like, this sucks. I was like, I really don't understand it. But I ended up, so I was like, I got to CLEP college algebra. And so I didn't think I could do that. But I went to the class. I studied. I went into the library, studied constantly. I was always going in, like, every night, was just getting my stuff in. Eventually I took the test. It had trigonometry, and I didn't even know it was gonna have that on it. Had a bunch of stuff on it, but I ended up passing that joint. And I was like, damn, man. I was like, that's what's up. But I had a way different teacher than I did previously, And I was like, I felt the difference. So I think what you were saying, but I take that learning experience and I apply it to what I do now, if that makes sense. That's why I'm like, well, let me not just be a video and photo guy. Let me also give advice on this, and then let me be hands-on on this. Because I also do work with nonprofit. Why? Because I ran one. I know what it takes to run a nonprofit, develop effective programs. Why? Because I ran summer camps for years, and I was in the leadership world. And so I feel like that's something that all of us can also use as creators, because, we never want, like, one thing I never wanted to do was be stuck in one particular field. Like, I don't want people to be like, oh yeah, you're this type of photographer, or this type of videographer. I'm like, nah, I do it all. Like, I got everything. I don't need to be the best at this. I'm cool. Like, I'm all right with being, like, I like to have my hands in all the pots, and I think that's something we should always be open-minded to. So I'm with you. I just also think we can bring that information. It's funny, I had a conversation with someone. They were explaining to me how they thought college, like, there's this routine that we all think the same, and it just made me think, like, well, what does that mean? Is it the fact that the way we go about getting information, like, you apply a hypothesis, a thesis, and then a law. You know how you go through that when you're trying to figure out whether something exists or not.
Was that the theory?
Well, no. So you start, like, a hypothesis is like when you start, like, you're like, okay, I got a hypothesis about something. Like, what is it? Throw a rock in air and it comes back down. What is that? Well, the hypothesis is that maybe it's this force called gravity, or not force. I think it's called something else now, but it's gravity, right? But, like, well, then it goes to a thesis. I think once people discuss it more and they run some trials, and then it becomes a law once there's, like, it cannot be proven otherwise. So, like, let's say 1,000,000 times we threw a rock up in the air and it's never not come down. Well, it's pretty obvious then this is probably a law, So that's kind of like the transition, or how I feel like we get to information. At least I do. I process information. I'm like, well, you got to experience. It's like with everything, right? You're like the canvas. You're like, well, let me keep getting better. Let me keep, and it's just like, that's what we got to do. It's like until we get to a certain point. So I just think, like, I don't know. I think college it's an up and down for me. I don't like the fact we got to pay so much goddamn money. But I also see the benefits, at least for myself. Like, if you go into it with an open mind, you can really have it. And that's just with life in general. I think as us creators really do that well,
So, can you agree with me on one thing here?
Yeah.
So you was a teacher yourself.
Yeah.
So, would you say that your way of teaching was unique upon the general public of teachers?
Yeah, well, unique, yeah, but I also think they would call it a certain style. and the style is guided teaching. I think for me, guided teaching is the most effective teaching because you kind of leave breadcrumbs for people to kind of teach themselves, and then they figure something out on their own, if that makes sense.
Do you know your share of teachers with that style?
No, but I don't know that many teachers anymore, to be real.
But
So,
you've been.
no, I've never really. The thing is, well, yeah, okay. I had maybe one teacher that led that way, and I thought they were very effective in high school. And so, because it's more like they'll ask questions, and then because sometimes I ain't gonna lie, I'll have an idea of the endpoint, and then my students will bring up something, and I'm like, I wouldn't even think about that. You know, and I'm like, that's a great point. You know, like, dang, see, you know, like, my kids used to teach me stuff every day.
Well, you got to think about it like you have all these brains, bro. They're all working back at you, you know?
Yeah.
You're only building up on your idea. I agree with that.
You know?
Yeah.
And these little brains were, oh, those kids were precious. But yeah, man. So I forget what the original question was. But the teaching style. So yes, I think that's one of the most effective ways. I haven't really seen it played out as much. I just know that that's a teaching style that exists, you know. And that's why even with my coaching stuff, with everything, I'm like, look, I only want you to be set up for 2 months, then you should be good on your own. You know, like, you don't need to pay me no more. You good.
Would you say that style of teaching is actually more passionate than any other style of teaching?
More passionate? I think, no.
As in...
Well, let me add to that. Do you feel like it's something that people who are really passionate about teaching adapt and take on?
Okay, that's interesting. This is what I think. It's hard to answer that because everyone has different teaching styles, right? So a good teacher is going to learn how to adapt to each person, to each student that they have. And now guided teaching worked with most of my students. But some of my students needed a lot more hands-on, and that's just because they have different learning levels, you know? Doesn't mean anything is wrong with them. It just means they had different learning levels or different learning styles that they preferred. Like, they needed me to be like hand-feeding them or be like, yo, this is really what this, you know, instead of just getting to the answer because they just didn't know. There were other steps that were missing. But I would say that, you know, so that's what I would say to that. I think a good teacher, but then there are some people who get stuck in like the old school teaching where it's like, I'm just going to teach at you.
Right.
You know, and especially not now. Shit, after COVID, man, that done changed everything. You know, like, it kind of sucks for teachers and students, to be real. Like, it's hard for them right now to kind of re-migrate into society because it's, you know, like, it's just way different. They were alone in their own freaking little cubicles for 2 years, just about a year and a half, and now they got to do this, and it's like, damn, some of them went from high school to college like this. I can't imagine that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the era of online courses,
you know,
right now, and you know that's actually devastating to a lot of students because a lot of people are hands-on.
Right.
You know, me personally, I like the hands-on small classes, one-on-one with the teachers, because I had a lot of questions after classes.
Right.
You know, because back again to the whole going by the book and everything, I felt like if I felt like the teacher didn't care, then I didn't care. Like, why should I care if this guy's just here for a paycheck?
Right.
You know, I could feel it. My intuition, I could literally feel the teacher, like, he's either into it or he's just there.
Right.
Because that's his job. He clocked in, drank this coffee. Oh, my book says I need to do this. Okay, this is what I'm going to throw at the students. They're going to pass, fail, whatever.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's why I was challenging you with those questions.
No, they were good. They were good questions. It made me have to go back into the teaching world. I'm like, dang, I ain't touched teaching in a minute. I'm like, oh, let me dive back into how did I feel during that time. No, those were good questions.
Yeah, but you're coming off as one who actually cared. And I feel like that's a unicorn in the industry.
Man, well, that's the, you know, I tell you what, I tell everyone like this. That is the one job that I probably took the most serious out of anything I ever did. And the main reason for that is because I knew what was at stake These were little kids that were depending on me every day to bring my A game. Like I needed to bring not just my A game. I needed to have more energy than them every single day. I needed to show up. I never missed a day. Even if I was sick, this is before COVID, so don't shoot me or don't kill me for that. But like I was coming in like, nah, man, because if we gotta miss a day and I gotta catch my students up with something, like I don't trust nobody with my kids, right. Like that type of deal. Like plus I didn't want to. You always had to leave work behind, and I didn't like that. So I tried my best not to miss it because I understood what was at stake. And so I took it the most serious. I did. Because, some of my kids didn't have their fathers around, which always broke my heart. So I knew they were looking at to me kind of like that figure, that fatherly figure. And I was cool with that. I'm like, I'm going to accept that role. And I'm going to show you every day I'm going to be here. Every morning, you're going to walk in, hey, Mr. Collins, and then you're going to leave. I'm still going to be here, just the way it is. Set that type of example. And it's easier when you got kids dependent on you, I think. But everyone... You're right, but I think I think most teachers get into the teaching world with the passion. They get ran out of it super fast, and they stay too long because they're bitter or they're angry, they're upset. Look, I only taught for a year, and that was it. My bad.
Why did you leave?
Because of money. It sucked. I mean, they couldn't pay me, and then I didn't blame them. I wasn't like, yo, Plus, I ended up coming out here because I wanted to do film school. I was like, yeah, I wanted to get into that. But then I ended up getting into nonprofit for a couple of years, and which I was already doing before. So, and it was cool. I thought it was I don't regret it. Shoot, being an executive director for a nonprofit. And even before that, it was a financial literacy nonprofit I fell into, which really helped me in a big way. Because I was like, why the hell didn't we learn any of this in school? It was blowing my mind. And I'll take that to the community any day. That's really what I want to do, is teach financial literacy for free in our schools, straight up.
So it seems as though teachers aren't getting paid enough.
Definitely not.
So with my experiences with the many teachers and many colleges I've been through, that seems to be an issue. With that said, I feel like that has a lot to do with where our future is going and how it's been going. Because the kids, they are our future because they're going to shape it. If we can provide for our kids early on in their lives through parenting and schooling,
right?
What are we going to expect 70 years down the road, So maybe we should increase the pay for teachers. Maybe that will excite them. Maybe that will bring more life into teaching. You had that life until you were worn out. You just admitted money was the issue.
Oh, huge issue.
You would still be in there if money wasn't the issue. If they were paying you enough, if anything, you would step your game up and be even more creative for those kids.
Man, look, if it was a reasonable salary, yeah. But I was technically living below the poverty with that salary, man. It was. And it's not, like I said, I ain't knocking them. I ain't throwing no shade on y'all. You know who you are. I ain't throwing shade because I did love my boss. One thing I really loved about her, I was in her, it's funny because I was in her office like I was when I was a student in high school. I was always in the principal's office for some freaking reason. I wasn't like a horrible kid, but I did shit that I knew I could, and I would get in trouble, and they'd be like, yo, man, they'd be like, Greg, stop that, and my principal would be like, Greg, why you always in this damn office? And that was how I was as a teacher. But my principal knew I was like one of her strongest soldiers. So even she would make me have it, but she never like suspended me or wrote me up or nothing like that. She was just like, Mr. Collins, you gotta get it together, and that was love right there because she wanted me to do well. I was like the only dude up in there. So, but yeah, I don't even know where the hell I was going with that.
That's interesting that you say that because there's not a lot of male teachers, bro.
Definitely not even in the elementary school. Think about how many elementary school male teachers are there.
I think I knew one.
Yeah. Probably was the gym teacher.
I
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, dang, that's really, and I saw the difference in like how the students reacted to me versus our female teachers. And it's no knock to our ladies at all. But it's like, damn, it would be great if we had some more males. But it needs to be more appealing. The job needs to be more appealing. You know, like education. It's crazy because the way they pay, it's like we don't value it. Yet we're with the kids all fucking day, all day, straight up. Like I'm like, yo. I remember saying that in my first parent-teacher conference. I was like, hey, listen, y'all. We are both raising your kids this year. Okay? I'm going to have them from 7, some till like 5, 7 to 5, because their parents didn't come and pick them up till later. That's a long time.
Yep.
7 to 5, you know? Like, I'm with them that long. That's a long time, you know? So...
Super random question, just to throw a wrench in everything.
Please.
What was your shower thought of the day?
Shower thought of the day?
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly?
It means when you're taking a shower and you're just in there by yourself, you stop and your mind goes a certain direction.
Yeah.
What was you thinking about today? Or on your way over here?
I was thinking about a lot of stuff. In fact, I had a consulting meeting over here. I took it on my way over. So there's a person that I work with. He's a new book author, and so I'm helping him with his launch and stuff. And
Through media?
Yeah, through media. And not just media, but, I mean, our relationship is much deeper, so a lot of times our conversation kind of turns into, like, not therapy, but, like, just real open ear type of deal, which is dope. And I'm like, damn, see, that's really what it comes down to. Like, I love doing business with people that I have like close relationships with, you know, like connections, and I think that's deep. So I was doing that, but then I was also just thinking about, you know, one, can the Tesla make it all the way down here without me having to charge it once to Fresno? And you know, I was thinking about first of all, the sunset was amazing coming over here. Like I hit it at a good point coming down. Sunsets are just gorgeous, man. Oh my gosh, especially around here, man. Like, 'cause it's so flat, you can see a lot of shit. So I mean, it sets in the west, so I was only looking through the mirrors, you know, through my rear views. But yeah, man, I also think which is what I think about every day, which is, you know, how am I going to get from point A to point B? You know, like I have a real goal to be in a position to not have to work within the next 5 years. Like, I really want that to happen. And in order to do that, that's why I was even like tonight, I'm like, shit, should I come all the way to Fresno? Is this going to set me back? And I'm like, nah, fuck it. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I'm going to make this up somehow. So it's like, there's always this, you know, it's like, so I was just, you know, thinking like, all right, Greg, how are we getting to that next point? You know, and I think, yeah, I be thinking about a lot of shit, Chris. I be thinking about shit.
It's the mind of a creator.
Yeah, man. I'm always thinking about a lot. I was studying the stock market. I was following that today. I'm like, okay, what drove it up the last couple days? And now I'm like, watch it teeter out. I think it's going to teeter back down again, you know, but it could be on the up and up. We'll see. But
do you see that investments in cryptocurrency? Is that a form of art by any chance?
It could. I think no. I think designing cryptocurrency can be a form of art, and when you translate it into NFT space, then absolutely, hell yeah. But you know, the idea, I would say that's more like maybe skill. You know, like
skill set.
Yeah, like investing is a skill set. Maybe some people. I mean, I got a buddy on Instagram. This guy is just always hitting it big, and he's pretty good at trading options. Like, he's just really good at it. You know, I don't know if that's necessarily an art. I would say he's good at it because he does research, because he follows, you know, and he sticks with these specific companies. When he posts his stuff, it's always the same companies, and I'm like, see, he's got his starting 5. You know, like he studies them. So yeah, I mean, skill, discipline, you know, things of that nature. I mean, I think it's, like I was saying before, I think it's something we all should be really doing, you know, like that, potentially property or real estate, or just always, especially us as creators, like we need more streams of income. We just need that. You know, we can't just be living off of the manual work we're doing all the time. We need some passive income streams, you know? Definitely. Like, and that's what we're building towards. And I think, you know, stocks and cryptocurrency kind of provide that opportunity for us. as long as we're smart about it. You know, I've lost money for sure, but I've made a lot of money, you know? So I think it goes hand in hand, you know what I mean?
So, with all the things, all the talents and capabilities you have, which one makes you feel like an artist the most? Which one kind of something that you're doing, whichever occupation you're doing after the fact, you're like, I'm an artist?
Oh, for sure, it's definitely video editing. That
You like video editing more than photography.
way more. Yeah, that was the video editing was always the thing. Photography just happened to come along with it. You know, like I remember taking pictures with the throwaways. I sucked at taking pictures with those. Like my pictures never came out right. You know, because they're not digital, so you don't get multiple shots. And I was like, oh man. But you know, video I always saw as different. You know, and so that's why I told you the story about the VCR and all that stuff. Like that was always my true love. However, in high school, I did take a Photoshop class. I was reminded when you brought up art, I took a Photoshop class. That was dope because that introduced me into, that's real, like, different type of digital art, you know, and I learned how to, you know, not render, but take like layers. That's where I learned layering was from Photoshop. And then that translated into the video editing on the software. And I was like, oh shit, that's what I do on Photoshop. Like, oh, that's how that works. But yeah, video editing, because I like telling stories. I love telling stories. And the best way to do it is when you're in control of the material, the content that you have access to. I love shooting it too, but you know, if I can edit it and put it together, that's really what I love doing. I could sit there and just do that shit. Exactly. You know, like I'm like, yeah, but I like directing too. If I can, I would like to do, that would be both, you know, like orchestrating what is going on and then seeing the vision come to play. But editing at the core makes me feel the most like an artist because it's the most creative. You know, editing photos is cool. I like that. That's a little artistic, but or artsy like. But it's not like, for me, the cream of the crop is video editing because it takes a lot of skill to do that. And I love pushing my skills to new levels. Like with this last video, I was like, I'm gonna just use After Effects on this. I was like, let's see if I can do it. I was like, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, man. I was looking through your Instagram. I saw some of your videos, and they're pretty good.
Oh, thanks, man.
You know, I always go to Chris when I'm wanting to do a video or something. Right. Which reminds me, I need to do more. But it's this one time, you know, that it completely amazed me because when he comes and shoots my videos, you know, he shows up in the morning. I'm getting started. He gets a couple clips, you know, and then he'll come back. And then he will get the ending of it, you know, and we'll get more clips. But what was crazy is this one time I had this idea of doing, like, having him shoot a TikTok for me. And I was like, I really want to do this TikTok. Oh, actually, it was a reel. And it was a guy who is split in two, like, simultaneously in two, right? And I was like, that video's like cool. Like, I want to see if Chris can do it. He came back and he like layered me on top of myself, like interacting with myself.
Right.
And then like he showed me what it took to make that video.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, this is dope. You know, like it interests me, man. I was like, and then from there, I was like, hey, bro, like, what video app do you use? And he sent me it, and I started messing around with it. And then I would send him some videos that I would make, you know, but they weren't like crazy like that, you know.
Right.
But eventually, I think I will, you know, evolve into doing something like that because it inspired me to check out video, you know, and video editing, and it was cool, man. Like, I'll show you this video right now, and it was like,
I mean, that's how it starts too. I mean,
so those of you who are wondering which app it is, it's none of your motherfucking business. No, I'm playing. I'm joking. So it's called Video Leap. It's an iPhone app. There is a subscription to it, but it's an extremely powerful app. It's actually it's an app that I used to animate the kids show that I was talking about earlier with my brother. The one that I made the most money of like any of my projects on.
I remember Chris posting this. This is like, yeah, this is so. He layered this bad boy, huh? So that dude you're working on, though, that's like the actual, that's a client?
That's
or is
his
it-
Yeah, it's a client. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, damn, was that you working on yourself?
No, that would have been dope. That would have been dope.
I see your cut. This
An idea.
this area right here.
That's the next video.
Yeah, that's a good
See
idea.
how great minds come. See shit.
Accidental.
Yo, this is fire though. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I think I did that in like 20 minutes.
Right.
So I edited. He showed me something similar, so I
Right.
told him what he needed to do.
He just did each one. You did five, like probably took that
Took three
shot,
different clips.
3 different clips, and then put them together.
Yeah.
And then you had to cut too. I saw like here, you had to cut like the.
If
first
you look
guy.
very closely.
Yo, yeah, for
you
sure.
can
The
see.
shirt. Oh, that's
Yeah.
what I was looking at. I was like, because I was like, all right, where's his cuts at on this one? Boom. I'm like, that's the cut or the mask. The mask, right?
So a video creator will see.
oh, for sure.
but-
Come on,
Definitely.
that's
But
what I'm looking. I'm like,
90% of the masses will have
yeah.
no idea.
Right.
But yeah.
Only reason I say that is because I remember the first time I started experimenting. Matter of fact, let me show you this. I don't know if you've seen this one. This is like one of the first time I experimented. Oh shit! This is the first time I experimented with what Chris just showed you, which is layering. So like, what was it? Was this right here? No. You see how? You see how it's like he cut. And my cuts were horrible. Like you could see kind of like but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's so like man, when I first started doing that, but then that's how you add effects in, and that's how you know what I'm saying? And so you do green screen essentially is what.
Can you send me that in messages? By the way, those of you who are tuned in, thank you very much. It's been an hour and 10 minutes of streaming so far. I just want to throw that out there and say thank you. But the footage that we're showing, when we actually post the video version of this, I will add those clips to it so that you guys can see what we're talking about, what we're
That's right.
watching.
They're like, what are they doing?
Yeah, we're like sharing stuff here. So I'm gonna fill y'all in and actually show you guys with the actual full video. We got a professional camera up there right now. Even though we're streaming live through the cell phone, I also have my Sony on as well. So this will be posted in a much better quality.
Right.
Just an FYI.
Well, thanks.
But anything else that you want to add? So let me see. There's something else I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about? No, let me rewind.
Okay.
What did some of your? See, I gotta be careful who's watching
Oh,
because all I want is you throw no one under the bus. How do I ask it as generally as possible?
Here we go.
So, okay. So I'm gonna ask you because if this has ever happened, I'm pretty sure you're not working with the person anymore. So, what's a nightmare client you've had?
Well,
It could be video or photo, whatever.
nightmare.
If that's even a thing for you.
Depends on what you consider nightmare.
It's what you consider
you-
nightmare.
you mean
someone
like-
who doesn't pay, someone who is super picky.
I had someone who took a long time to pay me, that just was avoiding just telling me a date or giving me something to stand on, which I found quite odd, but I think we got over it because I ended up working with them again. And, my stipulation was I need to be paid the day of, and they did.
Did
They
you get
actually
your
paid me
money?
the day before. So I was like, oh, we good then. I'm like, you going to get the works, good. I'm like, we back in good mercies. Like, that's really all it takes from me. I'm just like, look, I'm a man. Look, I'm going to get you and deliver on the product. Don't, I've proven that. I always prove that. I try to get my clients their stuff within like 48 hours.
Right.
And so I'm like, yo, I'm moving fast. I'm getting it to you. I'm like, the only thing I ask in return is you hold up your end of the bargain. Like money, a lot of people like to make it such a difficult situation or topic. It's like, it don't have to be. Let's just get that shit out the way so we can get on the business. Like understand I'm running a business. So if you're not paying me, then that's factoring into my cost. That means I'm giving up something for your case, you know, and I got someone right now I got to kind of chase down, but I think they'll, you know, hopefully I don't have to keep following back up. But that's the thing I learned about this business. Like sometimes you gotta, you know, you have to state what you want up front early on in order to kind of avoid those clashes. You know, I haven't had too many like on-site photo shoot crazy nightmares. You know, I'm really trying to think. I'm like, damn, did I ever have one where I was like, because most of my photo shoots I pride myself in, and you know, like the environment that we set up, the atmosphere that is set up to execute a perfect shot or whatever the case may be. Like you got to get people to feel comfortable. Right. Sometimes they're intimate settings. You know, you shot people in lingerie. You know how that is. It's like, you know, you want to create a safe space, and so I feel like in order to do that, you know, you're welcoming, which doesn't really allow for someone to kind of be like, act, I don't want to say that word, but act, you know, I don't know, act angry or upset at you or, you know, just, but I'm sure I've shot, I know there was one person though I shot and I was just like, man, I'm glad I ain't got to shoot them again. I know there's one, I just can't think, man. I know there is one, but, you know, but other than that, I think it's pretty solid. I think one thing that people try to do a lot is gyp me. Sometimes, like I'll throw out a price or something, and sometimes they'll think it's too high, and I'm like, really? But do you not understand the hours that I'm putting into this thing? You know, I don't think you understand what video editing.
That happened to me recently, actually.
Really?
Yeah, but this is the first time in a while. It's actually a friend of mine, his boss, and I thought it was all good because I know the friend,
right?
But he told me about this place that he works at. Can't say really, but he wanted me to meet his boss and film the place, do some advertisements and stuff. So I went there, talked to him a bit, and told him my price. And he said, okay, he like split it in half. He's like, okay, we'll give you half of that, and I'll see if I like it or not. I looked at my friend, and he just like kind of was looking down. I'm like, hold on. Yeah, he might not have known that his boss was gonna do that. Mm-hmm. But I did get my intuition to where I can tell he knows his boss is good for that kind of thing. Mm. He just probably didn't think he was gonna do it to me.
Right.
So I had to talk to him. It's like, have you seen my work? You know? I'm not saying I'm the bomb. It's just you either gonna prefer me or not. You could go find someone else.
Right.
If I'm too expensive.
That's,
you know? I don't have an issue with that, but if I'm giving you a price and you're gonna lowball me, not even lowball, try to change my request of what my service is providing, then that's just we're going on bad terms,
right?
You know, and I'm the type of person people tell me I shouldn't do this, but I'll do it. I'm like, okay, but that'll be the last time you see me,
right?
I'll do it. But that's it's going to be the best video you ever get and the last one from me you'll ever get.
Interesting. Yeah, I teeter back and forth about that because now I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't need to take it. Like, I don't need to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, nah, if you're not going to pay me, it's really not worth it.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of work, man.
It is.
Like,
and, you know,
people try to undercut, like, I'm like, nah, y'all must not understand what it takes to do all that.
No, they
even
don't.
now, like I'm even thinking about increasing my hourly rate because, especially if I'm shooting photo and video, which I did for this one organization just recently, and I'm just like, damn, this is so much work. Like going back and forth between
double
video
the work.
and photo, it's double the work. So it's like, I'm like, you know what? Next time, I'm gonna give a little increase on that.
I just did that tonight. I've actually started turning down gigs of doing both.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I can only provide one or the other at top quality.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it is tougher.
It just depends on what event we're doing here. You know, because if it's a wedding, I'm not doing that.
Oh, definitely not a wedding.
That.
I wouldn't do both of those. Nah. You only get one at the wedding, straight up.
Yeah.
There's
something else that I turned down recently. I can't remember. There's so many gigs, man.
Right.
I'm not even full time, so I can't even imagine. So I haven't really had any issues getting money from clients or anything like that. But I feel like you've had far more clients than me because you're full time at this. So if I had as many as you, I probably would have ran into a couple of those.
I mean, I think it's also when it depends on who you're dealing with.
Yeah, that too.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know,
I could definitely understand that. You know, when I first started tattooing, it was like that. People would always shoot my price down. It wasn't like I'll give them a price and they would accept. They'd be like, nah, like, can you do it for this much? Obviously, I was just starting out, so they felt like they could, And for a while, like, it would frustrate me because I was like, do you know what it takes to do a tattoo,
Right.
Like, it took me 2.5 years to get as good as I am, It was a lot of studying. This is what people don't understand, It was a lot of studying, long hours on tattoos. I would spend an extra 3 hours and not charge for that, And I was charging less for my tattoos in order for my client to allow me to get creative with it rather than just doing something that they wanted. My goal was to like do my art and put it out there, and with the idea that they come with,
Right.
more of like a concept that they give me and I create the art for them, right?
That's how it is with video editing.
Yeah.
They give me the vision and then I put it anyway. So I love it. That's the connection. Yeah.
That's my
the
motto.
art. That's the art.
And that's how me and Chris connect. And like I don't go to Chris and tell him, hey bro, I want my video to look exactly like this.
Right.
I show him a reference. I saw this video, bro. He creates his own thing.
Right.
And I can appreciate that because it's the same for me,
Right.
And like now it's a bit different because since I feel like I have gotten a lot better since then, I don't have to take everything.
Right.
I get to pick and choose, and I don't get that type of thing happen anymore. I think it's a bit rare, and I can understand because I put a system in play to ensure that I don't get that type of client.
Right.
Before I was allowing people to send me direct message on Instagram, and it's easy because anybody can just type a text and waste my time.
I peeped you got that on your gram. No DMs.
No DMs.
I saw that.
I do email because I feel like if somebody's really interested and really curious, they will take the time to send an email. And it's worked out very well, since I had that transition. So, but I can understand from my early time in tattooing, man, people will shoot you down, man.
They will, but I ain't tripping.
It is kind of, to be fair, it is our responsibility to create preventatives. I don't even know if that's a word, but it rolled right with the subject we're on right now. And I like how Pablo has it to where email only, no DMs. Reading that, I actually feel bad for texting him about a tattoo appointment, like about getting my ink done. I'm like,
wow.
shit, I'm breaking the rules. Hold on.
Maybe
I should just email him, because I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the definition.
Right.
But I feel like it is partially our responsibility to create that for us to filter out those kind of people.
Right.
I said those people. What do you mean, us people? But, they're out there as far as people who try to lowball you, people who try to take advantage, especially when you come off as nice.
Yep,
or, I'll hook you up. Well, how much can I get hooked up by this guy? I'm going to find out, And, contracts, all that stuff is very important. I still haven't created my contract yet. I'm still going
Get on that.
just free, but I've only had one issue with, not even an issue. The client showed up like 30 minutes late. I actually left.
Yeah, I remember you.
She told me she was in the parking lot. After 10 minutes, another 20 minutes passed. She said, okay, I'm almost there. I left after that. Like, you just lied.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right.
Like, you was in the parking lot 10 minutes. Where'd you go, backwards?
Right.
So I was at the hair salon. The hair salon, ain't no hair salon open 6 in the morning.
Right.
Is there a hair salon open at 6 in the morning
I don't.
for women? I've never heard of one.
Maybe.
Maybe like a
Special
private one?
private.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Barbershop.
Maybe.
Like, I'll open the shop early for you.
Well, I mean, if you was honest.
I mean,
with
but
me,
if you had an appointment to shoot a video.
Yeah, and she was very much so late. But I have clients late all the time, and I wait, because they call me, hey, I'm running late. It'll be whatever time. I waited 40 minutes,
Right.
and then we got started, and it took up my time, but that's me being nice.
Right.
But and it'll only go so far before you start drawing the line,
Right.
But with that, yeah, she lied, so it was just like, eh. And she was competing too the next day or driving to Vegas. So she was like in great shape and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, hey, we can shoot after the fact. You probably look better. Anyway. We always look better after the competition, after we compete, and then we eat our chocolates and relapse and all that stuff. The next day, we look great.
Right.
So I was just like, hey, you can hit me up then and we could do something. But never heard from her again after that. But I'm okay with that because you have to draw a line somewhere.
Definitely.
Absolutely, or they'll walk all over you.
But partially, this is my fault because I don't have anything, no contract saying, 10 minutes late or whatever minutes late,
Right.
But either way, I feel like.
It didn't matter because you didn't lose nothing, really, except just some time, right? Because she didn't pay you.
Yeah, I lost time, lost sleep, woke up nice and early for that gig, and I was running on
Fumes.
fumes. I was running on straight fumes.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
straight up.
Right. Then you were able just to, reel it back and like, well, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Let me get back in this bed.
Yeah, I took my ass right back to
Right
bed.
back to bed. Shit.
Yeah.
But the goal, like you said, is not to get. My bad. It's not to get. Done over dirty like that. So I need to put more things in place, more systems in place, which I have been. This last one, I kind of let go. I broke my system. Shame on me.
It always happens.
Yeah, it happens. So it is what it is. But yeah, man. So, that's how I'm rocking with that. Yeah, man. Shit.
Is are we still live on the thing? Because I just got a message. I had some people tuned in and told me that it wasn't going anymore.
Probably not because
It stopped. Is there a limit on it?
Maybe it just cut off.
Okay, let's see.
But it is one, and I do gotta get back to Oakland, so you let me know. And I gotta charge my car still, so that means I gotta get it.
Shit.
Yeah, so that means I got like an hour, at least another hour.
Okay. So we'll just wrap it up once I.
Yeah. Sweat like a motherfucker.
Got people watching.
Look at my ears. We all did post on it and say, hey, we live. Shit, I would be shocked if nobody looked.
Well, I didn't post it.
Oh, that's right, Chris. I don't know why you didn't.
Well, because my phone's.
Because you're too good, huh?
No, my phone's.
He said, yeah. You could have just reposted, though, what we did. We both tagged you, I'm sure. I tagged you. Put out. Pow.
First trial. Okay. I had to fix a few things here. Thank you for bearing with us. This is our very first attempt. We had no plans, no subjects, no nothing. We asked Greg to come out here with no plans and just full of intentions
Freestyle.
to do this podcast. This is fun.
That was my idea,
Freestyle.
by the way.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh yeah, I
Let
asked him.
know.
I was like, "Hey, should we have a list of questions for him so we could get something going?" He's like, "Nah,
I
let's
think
just chill."
I think my idea was just to give out raw information rather than, coming up with something that you process beforehand, and just give it out right on.
Right.
I think that's a vibe,
Right.
just letting stuff out on the go.
Oh yeah.
I'm also a very spontaneous person, and I like to, like, when I talk, just in the moment.
Right.
Thing,
Comes out more authentic that way
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
Don't have no time to plan.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, how would I answer that?
Exactly.
You're like, oh crap. All right, well, that's what Chris with all those teacher questions. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh snaps.
I was just wondering with that because I'm just like, I just really felt like a lot of the teachers I had, maybe I had bad luck. They just didn't care.
Right.
They just didn't give a damn. And then when I hear you, just your whole voice, the tone of your voice changed when you're talking about your students.
Right.
I was like, I
Definitely.
didn't get that from the teachers
Oh,
that I had.
right.
Maybe one or two. And the teachers that were passionate, I made friends with them. I was actually cool with them,
Right.
So, when someone cares, it makes me care,
Right.
kind of thing. So,
Right.
yeah, I had a couple of relationships with some of the teachers that were like beyond just homework and school and stuff. I actually knew about their health, and because they're older,
Right.
My favorite teacher actually passed away recently, so
God rest their soul.
it's like, damn, that's crazy.
Right.
Makes you think if some other teacher
Probably.
passed away, I'd be like, oh, for real, that's crazy.
Probably
Move
has
on.
happened.
But this one, I actually felt it. I was like, shit.
Right.
It's one of the good ones.
It's crazy because some people can have an impact on your life that way.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to that because I used to run track and I had a personal coach.
Mm.
Like he wasn't like related to the school or anything like that. He was a club coach and he would personal train me without charge. He would do it out of the kindness of his heart.
Oh shoot.
And it was it's crazy because like this man would take me to track meets outside of the state and he would pay.
Wow.
And it was crazy because I knew in the back of my mind like this is free. I'm not paying for this, so I have to give it my all.
Right.
So it was always like the fact that he did that for me changed my perspective on life because before him I just disliked everybody, and I just thought the world was a horrible place. But there are good people like that out there, man.
Right.
And especially people who know how to teach, man.
Right.
It's crazy. Some people love that, And like you were saying, like, man, like when you start talking about your students, my first thought in my mind, I was like, this dude is a good teacher. Right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. You can feel it, right?
That.
Right.
Yeah, you just know, man.
The passion came out of you, bro, and it was.
Oh man, it was I mean, I did a video. You should end up playing this when you play it back. It was called.
Send it to me.
I did a song for my students called the Third Grade All Stars. It was a rap, and I did it over the Moment for Life beat by Nicki Minaj. And I remember I did the actual video. I ended up doing a video later on. I wish I had the video before they went to school, but I did it when I came out to Cali. And yeah, man, it's probably was one of the most passionate things I ever did. It was when I still was learning video stuff, but at this point I felt like it was pretty good. I took footage that I did that. I recorded like a lot of film of my students and I, which was dope. So
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and I think it all comes out in that video. So I'll definitely forward it to you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, this was an awesome first go. I feel like this was a
Shout out Chris. Shout out Pablo for holding it down. Thanks for the invite, y'all.
yeah. Thanks for coming all the way from Oakland.
Oakland.
But you know how us creators do. We have work to do the next morning
Right, exactly.
because that's all we do. I was gonna say slaving away, but this doesn't even we wouldn't be doing this.
We were slaving away.
Exactly. We would not be waking up early. You wouldn't be driving, turning around from just getting here.
Getting down here.
We appreciate you, man.
Definitely.
Really appreciate it.
Don't forget my coffee, yo.
Oh, you asked for coffee an hour
I
ago.
did.
Wait,
You
an
see
hour
this, y'all?
32 and 52 seconds ago.
Ask for
My
coffee.
bad.
Still ain't get it, y'all, but it's cool because I got a long wait. I got to charge this car, you know what I'm saying? But nah, I really appreciate the invite, y'all. You know, I'm really hoping you guys are able to take off and just keep getting more artists on the show so that they can reflect and, you know, spread the knowledge and what we're learning. So just real quick, Smooth Picks is the company name. If you're wondering, Smooth Picks, holla at your boy. Capture moments that matter. That's the hashtag. Or that's not the hashtag. That's the damn account. Handle.
Instagram.
Y'all. Instagram. Smooth Picks. Hashtag Smooth Picks.
No special spelling or underscores.
Nah, just SMOOTHIX. It should come up. PIX, sorry.
Give him a follow. Me
Holla
and
at
this
your
guy actually done a wedding together, and
Oh, yeah.
flowed like clockwork. We didn't never worked together before like that, and it worked out really well. Great dude. He did photos that day. I did video, and
Tag team.
awesome photographer. So
Appreciate
check his
that.
page out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so wrapping it up. Till next time, we have no further announcements to make, but just follow the page, and we will do our best to update you on what's coming next and stuff like that. We're still figuring out people. We do have a lineup of people we do want on the show, but it's just they're content creators. It's hard to reach content creators.
Busy
Straight up.
people, man.
Straight up.
You
Respect their time.
try to book one, they're probably months, booked and stuff like that. So it's like we're trying to get them booked, sit
Right.
down, they could be editing right now
Mm.
instead of here talking to us.
Right.
So it's truly an honor, Greg.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
y'all, man. Y'all be blessed. Make sure you get a theme song with this show soon. All right.
We need that.
None of this stuff.
that.
Sound us out, Chris. What?
Round of applause. The live can't hear it, but
Oh, shoot.
this will do.
Oh, no.
Till next time.
That's a wrap, gentlemen.